Very interesting. Thing number five, Gary, we're moving into oil. DKI has a large position in terms of oil, global dynamics influencing oil prices. Thing number five.
Yeah. So first of all, round of applause for Andrew Brown, the DKI intern who pitched this one. Good for him. Andrew, you're on the board here. Good
Well done,
job.
Andrew.
Yeah, very nice. So we talked about this before, Rob. A few months ago, the Saudi Arabia, they weren't happy with the price of oil.
Right.
And so they decided to reduce oil supply by 1 million barrels per day because if you're the Saudis, you can do that. Right. And they just said, we're going to put less in the market. Now, people will point out that the global oil market is in the neighborhood of 100 million barrels a day. And they might say, okay, yeah, so the Saudis took 1 million out. Does it really matter? Yeah, it does. And the reason it matters is because oil gets priced at the margin. It's basically the price for the last barrel that determines the market price for this. Okay. Russia followed along. They reduced supply by almost 500,000 barrels per day. Obviously, Russia needs higher oil prices. That's their cash flow. That's their main export. Um, and so what they've done is both these countries have extended their supply cuts and the price of oil. In this case, we look at Brent crude because it's the international measure, has gone back above $80 a barrel.
You had a conversation recently with Tracy Schuchart, Chai Girl on X. She talked about oil production levels and prices kind of remaining in the same range that they have been, no big breakouts. Knowing your position from an oil standpoint, how do you take that? What does that mean for your portfolio? If you could just elaborate a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Tracy's been right so far. Her comment, and we have it on video. If you look just a few weeks ago, we've got the whole interview with her. It's worth watching.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, she's good on this stuff. She's smart, expresses herself well. Really great guest. Loved having her. But her point was for the rest of the year, she expects oil to trade in a range, a fairly wide range, but basically, she doesn't expect oil to get below the 60 to $65 per barrel um, uh, level on the downside, because if that happens, the U.S. fracking capacity comes offline, you lose supply, and prices come back up. And she doesn't think oil is going to go above $100 a barrel because above that, you start to affect um, economic factors. Once energy gets really expensive, it's hard for people and it kills demand. And when that happens, there's less demand for oil, the supply demand curve gets shifted and prices come back down. So far, she's been right. I think she's got a great point. So I agree with Tracy. The point that she's making is good for another 9 months or so, 9.5 months. She's saying for the rest of the year. Long term, we're bullish on energy prices. I actually like uranium more than oil. We have huge positions in uranium. But basically, when we talk about the electrification of everything, people want electric cars. We are charging tons and tons of devices. You have huge parts of the world, India and China. That's, almost 3 billion people that want a better standard of living. That means more energy usage. All of those things increase demand for energy, and renewables, wind, solar, they're not baseload generation. They're fine for like midday peaking or when the wind
Mhm.
is blowing, but you can't use that for baseload. It's not reliable. And so, I think we're going to be looking at energy prices going up long term, especially given that green activists have made it harder and harder to drill or mine or transport.
Mhm.
So, long term, they're trying to impair the supply of energy at a point where the world wants more energy. And one of the things people were talking about at the end of last week, right? Everybody's very excited about AI. Do you have any idea how much more energy usage
Hmm.
these data centers require?
Yeah.
Right? You're not just talking about running more servers, you're talking about having to power these massive GPUs, and they are energy hogs. And you think, well, how much does it matter? Yeah, but it's a whole data center. Right?
Yeah.
It's not just your desktop at home or your laptop that has a NVIDIA 4060 graphics card in it. And so at the end of last week, some of the big tech firms were actually saying, if you guys want this great AI powered future, right, what we need is more nuclear energy. And that's hugely bullish, not only for oil, but it's hugely bullish for uranium. Our view is own both.
Right. Yeah, very interesting regarding the AI. I know having conversations about LLMs and the softwares that are out there, right? A lot of them run on ChatGPT, right? Or their open models. The issue with those softwares that are running on top of there is zero price control once those dials get turned up in terms of the cost and computing power.
Yeah.
Once demand continues to increase in usage and so forth. So anyone that is building those softwares out, right? The piece and the emphasis on building your own LLM that's not tied, to a lot of these other big LLMs is going to be crucial. So a little bit of a tangent there, but
No, Rob, not only do I think you're right, I actually tried this myself. So the graphics card I have in my computer is powerful enough to run NVIDIA's Chat with RTX. And that's exactly what you talked about. It is an opportunity to run an LLM, a large language model, AI on your own desktop. And the reason that matters is you preserve privacy.
right.
You can let it crawl through your stuff without being connected to the internet, without sending your data and your
Mhm.
information to Microsoft or Google or whoever you don't want to have it.
Right.
But when this thing was installing itself, it spent 12 hours of a day. My GPU was running at 100%
Yeah.
for hours and hours and hours just to load this thing in. And that was without me using it. That was just to get itself set up. And
Right.
I've communicated on the NVIDIA message boards with other people who are doing this. This is a really common thing. And so imagine, if all of us are doing this, but now try to imagine data centers where you
Yeah.
have thousands and thousands of these things chained and all running at 100% of capacity. Heck, Rob, just the air conditioning alone is going to put a demand on the grid, right? Those
No
things
doubt.
need cooling. You can't run those at what would be room temperature, because that room temperature is going to keep rising as you run it.
No doubt. Don't hit the panic button, but we do have a bonus thing for the Powell just hit the panic button issue. Thing number 6 of this week, bringing you extra value. Or Gary's got a funny joke that I can let you tell if you'd like to.
Go
But
ahead.
the
Of
banking
course.
system remains sound. Thing 6. Yeah, you could let people know, Gary, the two sides of the coin. Either what is it,
Yeah.
20% more value, or we can't count.
Yeah, that's it. Right. So, we said 5 things to know. We give you 6. I don't know. Maybe we didn't count right. Maybe you're getting more value. I don't know. Let us know. If you guys are irritated by getting a 6th thing, let me know. We won't do it again.